52 Traders, episode 122.
We learn the patterns, and from the patterns, we would then say, well, the next day, the probability is higher that the market goes up than that it goes down.
Join Cam every week on the 52 Traders podcast or at 52traders.com to learn how to trade like the pros. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not investment, trading, or financial advice of any kind.
What's up, traders? Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to everyone, wherever you are in the world. This is the first episode back into the new year of 52 Traders. So on the journey we go again. We've got Trading Mental's Match Off coming up, the sort of final episode of the show. So that's coming up soon. I'm actually pre-recording this early December because I'm going away in about 10 days to Australia for a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks I think I'm going to be there with my family, and we're having Christmas over there, and we fly out of there on our way to Auckland and then drive back down New Zealand to Wellington, where we'll sort of touch base sometime early January. So by the time this goes live, I think I've probably got a few more days left on the holiday before I'm back home and everything's back to normal. So I'm pre-recording this, and we've got a bit of a busy Christmas period. So I know I'm not going to be able to do much, if anything, on the show. So I've got family coming out from the UK. We've got friends coming over to join us who just actually live down the road for Christmas in Brisbane. My brother's been kind enough to give us his house for a couple of weeks. He's heading off on holiday. So, yeah, we're going to be over there, and by the time you would have heard this, hopefully some of you guys I would have actually met, because I'm planning to do a 52 Traders catch up or meet up in Brisbane somewhere. I know there's past guests of the show, and I know there's listeners of the show, and I know there's guys that have joined my course on Automate My Trading as well that live up that way. So, guys, if you did come along to this event, then hopefully you enjoyed it. If I didn't get to make it happen, then obviously the whole holiday got in the way. But I should try and make this happen. It should be good. Anyway, okay, enough of this. Let's get today's educational show underway. And so this is one of the specialist episodes that I do. So I'm diving deep on a specific subject to help you guys understand a little bit more about things from the specifics. So not all the episodes are going to be like this, but this is a special kind of episode. It's a bit different from your normal one where I get a trader on to talk about how they've found success and what they did and all that sort of stuff. So this is a specialist episode diving deep on a particular subject. And the subject today is Python and quant trading. All right, folks, so we've got a specialist show here. We've got a guy who's into Python and quant trading. His name's Yves. How's it going, Yves, over in Germany, is it, today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's going pretty well at the beginning of the week, 9:30 in the morning here. Excellent.
Yes. I've already started my week. You're just beginning it, and heading into winter over there, so things are probably getting a little bit cooler for you.
That's true. Exactly right.
Yeah. Okay, superb. Well, look, let's get onto the show here and find out a little about you, a bit of your background, how you got into quant trading, and yeah, I mean, I'd be quite interested. I mean, you're a doctor. I can see by your title here. I was unaware of that before I started the show, but I can see here you're a doctor as well. So maybe give us a potted history as to how you got into this quant trading business.
Yeah, okay. Let me try to provide you with a short version of it. So, I mean, first of all, I started like most people of my age started programming the early computers like the Commodore 64. So I was always fascinated by technology back then, but I somehow lost that. So I studied business administration, which wasn't really about, let's say, computer science or hard software back then. So it was kind of the dry theory, more or less. And when I did my PhD, this was not in business administration, this was in mathematical finance. So this was kind of the time when I really got into the quant world. So back then they called them rocket scientists. Today would probably, be kind of the financial engineers or however you want to call them. So I was mostly concerned in my PhD work with option pricing, dynamic hedging, and I was analyzing kind of reasons for the 1987 crash, like stop loss stuff and things like that. So really, really quantity. But today, probably would use much more data, much more software. You would do empirical research, but I was most even so with the mathematical side of things. So back then this was kind of still usual. Today I think this is not usual anymore. Without computers, software, and all these methods, you wouldn't do anything. So then I started working as a management consultant, still not doing that much of quant trading, programming thing, but I never lost the interest in the field. And it took a few more years later working in the financial industry as a consultant, mostly like, let's say, providing slides to client, not code, nor any trading advice. I rediscovered my love and my passion for programming in the form of Python, because I came across Python. I thought, well, this is kind of a fantastic language to do formal stuff like what I was doing during my PhD research. And this was more or less the start of it. Kind of 10 years, a little bit more than 10 years ago, when we started using Python for computational finance, starting to implement algorithms for option pricing, hedging, stuff like that, coming out with a monolithic application. Later on, we transformed this to a package, to a library for option pricing and hedging. And that's basically it. But it still took a while to make a business out of it. So for the last couple of years, this was kind of going pretty nicely, but in the beginning it was still kind of explaining why is Python good for quant finance, and many people question that there is any worth in using it. And today, if you have a look around, the biggest financial institutions in the world, the biggest hedge funds, they all use Python as a core technology. We have come a long way in this regard.
It's a good question, actually, because we've heard it on the show before. People have mentioned Python, and there's been some quant traders on here that have used Python and are using Python. Why did this sort of turn out to be the language of choice? I mean, I first heard about it years ago and was sort of a little bit confused as to where it sat within the programming languages. Why is this one the language of choice?
Well, I was drawn into it based on the syntax, because it's so close to what you would write down as a mathematical formula, let's say. So when you implement financial algorithms, it can get really tricky. So depending on the language that you use, but with Python, this is usually kind of seamless in that sense, compared to, let's say, compiled languages like C++, which is kind of still heavily used for quant finance in the industry. And this was the first thing. But then people immediately say, well, but Python is too slow for the implementation of sophisticated financial algorithms. And this has been true in the beginning, for sure, because it's an interpreted language, not compiled, so not that close to the machine. And this makes it, at least if you don't know how to do it, slow with regard to certain implementations. But the ecosystem has been growing tremendously fast. And by ecosystem, I mean mostly the PyData ecosystem, as they call it. So everything that is around the data science part of our field. And what we need in the financial field is actually more or less the same that people use in data science, big data analysis, machine learning, deep learning, AI in general. So we benefit tremendously in the financial industry from all these fantastic developments. And the other way around, for example, I think the most widely used package for data analysis, it's called Pandas. In Python, this is an outgrowth of a project that started within a hedge fund, within AQR Capital Management, when Wes McKinney, the main author, was working there, and they tried to improve on what was there in Python by building this data analysis package. And thankfully, those people responsible allowed Wes McKinney to open source this package. And I think today there are millions using this package. And this has grown to, this package alone has kind of a PDF documentation beyond 2,000 pages as PDF. So it's kind of, a very powerful thing in its own.
Okay, well, look, let's just clear the air here for those that are listening who are probably not as tech savvy as some of us out there. So first of all, the reason we're talking about Python here and the reason we're talking about Quant is these guys have the ability to automate pretty much everything that you can do with trading. You know, you can build an algorithm into a robot and trade that robot on the fly. And a lot of the big hedge funds and high frequency trading firms are obviously using this sort of thing to do the job of the human being and going back and testing years and years of data to come up with an algorithm that will work either in the short term or long term, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes alongside this. And so today, I suppose, what we want to try and get out of you, Yves, is I suppose the foundational elements as to how does someone who's, either got a little bit of computer background or hasn't got any computer background get into this gig of trying to automate some of the stuff that they do with Python, and then taking in a step-by-step approach to getting something that's robust that they can actually trade with. Okay, folks, hope you enjoyed the preview of that episode. Now, if you do want to hear the full thing, along with a lot, 90 plus at the moment, other episodes of traders being interviewed. Actually, the first 52 are free, so if you're not going back to listen to the first 52, go back and listen to the first 52. They're all free. You can get them now. We've got traders from all around the world trading Forex, futures, stocks, options, you name it. Now we've moved into cryptocurrency. We've got cryptocurrency traders coming on the show now. And we've got, what else? We've got guys who trade all sorts of different styles, from market profile to supply and demand zone, all these sort of different kind of approaches. Now, if you do want to get access to them all, then all you need to do is jump on 52traders.com/pro, and it'll get you immediate access to all of these interviews, unlocking them all, along with all the show notes. There's videos, there's marked up charts, a whole bunch of information that's going to help steer you on the way to trading success, as it has done with some other listeners that have come on the show. So there are guys that have been on the show or guys who have listened to the show and been on the show since, that have actually made their trading click, and you can hear how they did it as well. So there's a couple of episodes that you want to jump back and listen to, and I think one of them's definitely free. All right, folks, so that's what you need to do if you're wanting to hear all these traders reveal a lot of the secrets to their success and get a whole lot of information that's going to help basically steer your trading in the right direction. Okay, folks, is there anything else I need to let you know? Okay, yeah, next week we have a trader from Hong Kong coming up. He drops an awful lot of value, and we dive deep on the psychology aspect. But on top of that, we actually talk in detail about his strategy, and he reveals pretty much all of it on the show. The pre-interview chat with him, we spoke about 2 weeks before the interview, and he's like, "Oh, look, what are your questions like? Because I'm sick of having all these questions, which are sort of like, just tell us your life story and yada yada yada." And I said, to be honest, mate, I sort of go into a lot of detail around, what your strategy is and how you trade it, and the technicals and all those sorts of things. And he's like, "Oh, that's great. Nobody ever asked me that sort of stuff." So I ask it in detail on next week's show, so stay tuned to that. It is a doozy. All right, see you then.